Hi guys and welcome back to Slice and Mike. Today I'm doing the Epic Reads book tag. I was tagged by the little word Weaver, and let's get started. First question is, if you could invite one author and one of his or her characters to tea, who would you invite and what would you serve them? I would definitely invite Howl from Howl's Moving Castle and the author of that book, Diana Wynne Jones. However, I think Diana could just kind of sit there and do her own thing. I'd be really interested in talking to Howl because he's such an interesting guy. He has this darkness to him. He has all these magical powers, and I'm probably only thinking of this book because I just finished reading A Darker Shade of Magic, and Kel from that book reminded me a lot of Howl. So Howl and I feel, have a lot to talk about, and as far as what I would serve them, I really have no idea. In the movie, he eats, eggs and bacon and hunks of bread and cheese, so we'll just do that. Question number 2, what book do you wish the author would write a prequel for? I picked A Game of Thrones by George R. Martin because it's one of my favorite series of all time, and I don't know for sure if a prequel series is in the works, but I heard rumors that HBO might do one if their show catches up to the books, which could very likely happen because he writes books at a snail's pace. So theoretically, the prequel series would be about the big war that happened before these books start, like the Targaryens and the Mad King and the dragons and all that crap. And I think that would be awesome. Question number 3, which 2 characters, not from the same book, do you think would make a good couple? This one was pretty obvious to me, mostly because I've read both of these books very recently, but I would have to pick Darrow from Red Rising and Vin from Mistborn. These 2 people are vagabonds in a way. They are used to being treated poorly, they're from kind of a rough area, and I feel like they'd have a lot of common viewpoints on life. Maybe. I'm not really a matchmaker. I'm trying. Question number 4. If you ran into your favorite author on the subway and could only say one sentence to him or her, who is it and what would it be? So that would definitely have to be China Me Evil, who's my favorite author of all time, and I would just say, when's your next book coming out, buddy? Because it's been at least 3 or 4 years, and I haven't read anything new from you in a while, so what are you doing? Get back in the office and start writing me another book, please. Question number 5, what book made you a reader and why? So I actually don't get rid of books hardly ever. I keep everything I've read since I was a kid, so I have a lot of kids' books and middle grade fiction, which is really cool. But I think the most influential book I read as a kid was The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster. This book was life-changing for me, mostly because it was the first really challenging book that I ever read. It's challenging because there's a lot of wordplay and puns, kind of the same way as Alice in Wonderland, and it was a really entertaining book that cast things like words and math and music and, I don't know, all sorts of things in a wholly different light than what I was used to. Just love this book, and its characters really have stuck with me. I reread it probably every 2 or 3 years just because it's so good, and I love it. Question number 6, Incendio. Your bookshelf just caught on fire, and what one book do you save? I have questions about this, mostly because I wonder if I'm the one casting the spell, and if so, why would I be stupid enough to set my own bookshelf on fire? Otherwise, somebody else is casting this curse or spell on me, and who hates me that much that they would want to set my books on fire? I don't get this. But if I did have the ability to save any book on my bookshelf, I would save Unlondon by China Me Evil. It's not necessarily my favorite book, but I feel like it is so full of imagination and potential in terms of what it means to me to be a reader, and I really love the characters in this book, and also he's my favorite author ever, so if I couldn't save all of his books, I would just save this one because it is precious to me. Question number 7. Which dystopian world would you want to live in if you had to choose one, and why? I think that is an awful question because dystopian worlds suck by nature, but if I had to choose, I would pick The World from Wool by Hugh Howey just because it seems like the safest dystopian world. I wouldn't really have to deal with superpowered creepos or flaming balls of death. I don't know, they just kind of live in this isolated world in a silo, and they have their routine planned out, and they don't have to worry about life for the most part, except their lives suck, but at least they're safe, right? And that's what I would want in a dystopian world. And question number 8, what is your most epic read of all time? I think this question is asking me to pick my favorite book, but I don't really have a favorite book. I have a lot of books that I like a lot and that mean a lot to me. So I would pick Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke, just because the word epic to me implies that I had to journey in some way through a book, or I had to persevere through a book, and I got to the end and it was an epic journey. This book is really hard to get through because there is so much material. In the end, I was really happy to have read it because it's a really, really, really good book, but it was such a challenge to get through, and I wanted to drop it so many times, but I stuck with it, and I definitely recommend this to anyone who's looking for a really intense magical history story, but it is definitely not easy to read, and I will say that. Those are all the questions. If you have any thoughts on my thoughts, feel free to comment in the comment section below. I will tag a few folks, but I don't really know who hasn't done this. I think everybody on BookTube's pretty much done it already. So if I do tag you and you've done it already, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm not very good at tags, clearly. So that's gonna be it for me today. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and I will talk to you all on Monday. Bye.